Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. Well, I have another exciting episode for you today full of tips and techniques. We're working on the new section and I'm building a three-story building to go over there. Now, for those of you who watch my videos on sci-fi dioramas, I have some exciting news. All of those dioramas are going to be put into a room that's this size that I'm standing in now on the other half of my basement. Now, they'll all be stacked and tied together sort of like a brick wall. Now, on one level, I plan on putting a G-scale train running through it. It will only be point to point, and it will probably only go on 3 of the walls over on that side of my basement. So that's very exciting. I can't wait to get into building the bench work, getting the dioramas all put in place. That is a very long ongoing project, but so exciting. And the trains will be very futuristic, almost kind of a steampunk feel to it. And the train will really be used for moving droids, moving parts from one location to another location. Again, I'm extremely excited about that. I'll probably be doing some drawings of a layout plan for that. So, man, a lot of exciting stuff coming up. All right, well, we have a lot to do today, so let's get to it. Okay, we are building another kit from Foscale Models. It is Elliott Clay Craft Pottery Products. Following the instructions, I did my bracing. These walls are kind of thin, and because of all the ribbing on there, they tend to warp pretty easily, so you really want to brace them heavily. The instructions have them, they show you to brace them very heavily. I'm going to use some oil paint and thinner, so I'm not real concerned about the warping. If I was using acrylics, which are water-based, and thinning them with water to create my wash, which I usually do, I would brace these even more. I think I would go across the top and the bottom of the walls and make sure they were heavily braced so they don't warp. Okay, now I'm just going to experiment. I'm using oil brushers by Ammo by MIG. These are oil paint, so we're going to thin them with an odorless thinner. And I'm using medium gray and let's see, dark brown. I'm going to do a little bit more of the medium gray. Okay, it's really not as dark as I was hoping for, so I'm going to add Starship Filth. Maybe a little more dark brown. And I'll even try a little black. It's just straight black. Now, while we still have some stain in our container here, let's get out all of our strip wood and stain that at the same time. I forgot to brace these pieces. And I'm not going to put the little bump out on the side. I don't think I have enough room because there's a building right next to this. I am going to stain this without bracing it to see how well this works. The oil in the thinners seems to work really well as far as not warping the wood. And so far, it's not warping. Okay, that's not warping at all. That's why I really love using the thinner and oils to stain the walls. Now this is all the strip wood that was provided in the kit. Okay, next we're going to paint our windows and doors. And we're going to paint them to match the wood that we just stained. So I'm going to use iced coffee. And then we'll probably put a light wash of black over it. Okay, now these are completely dry. And I'm going to make a wash to put over them. And I could use black or Starship Filth. But I think I'm going to go with black. Doesn't take much. I just dipped it in there twice. And we'll take our thinner. We'll take our brush. I'll show you up close after I get all these done. But it's really nice. It just gets in all of the cracks. Now they're all still wet. Maybe I should wait until they're dry, but... Next, I'm focusing on the windows. Everything is dry, and the kit comes with a sheet of acetate. I always use acetate. I just prefer it. Some people don't, though, and that's fine. What I do is I find what I have the most of, and it's this size window right here. I have 6 of them. So what I did was I cut one window out, and I cut it so that it fits perfectly right inside that little recessed area on the back of the window. Okay, then I cut 6 of those out. Now, using super glue, just a small drop. Try to stab the corner of the window. And set it in there. All it takes is a drop. Now, if you put too much of the super glue on it, it will turn the acetate white. And you'll see it. But if you just do a drop, small amount, it's fine. I've never had a problem with it. For my window shades, I use this. This comes in the kit, and it's meant for your tar paper. You cut it into strips. You can paint it, but it's meant for like roofing paper. But what I do is I use it for my window shades. Now I'm cutting them to different lengths. You can cut them at a slight angle. Now if you want to, you can use your super glue, or if you're not comfortable with the super glue and you don't want your windows to possibly turn white, just use Elmer's glue. Okay, let's get our windows in, and then we can start assembling the walls. And again, if you get a little bit of super glue on your finger, okay, gone. Okay, now we'll just check it on our lines on here to make sure that it's square. Okay, we'll let that sit for just a little bit and then we'll glue on our back wall. Okay, our structure is all glued together. I wanted to show you, I broke out some glass in the front. Hopefully that's showing up good. Okay, now this goes on to a foundation, a brick foundation. And I'm going to build a little deck that hangs off the front and then hangs off the side and goes back to the street level because this slants down on the layout. The brick is laser cut wood and it's either from caseysworkshop.com or monstermodelworks.com. I don't remember where this came from. And all I did was I took a sponge and used probably 3 different shades on this. So we'll go back in now and smear our joint compound into all of the mortar joints. I just glued the structure onto the base. Next, I've taken some black construction paper and I cut it to the height of the structure on the top. And then for the length, I measured from this corner to this corner, and that gave me the length. I cut 2 of those. Now, we find the center right there. So I just took one, flipped it upside down. Now you can't see all the way through when you look into the windows. So this is the piece of cardstock that comes in the kit for the roof. I have a piece of 150 grit sandpaper. I'm going to trace this and cut it out. Now I'm going to spray paint this black and glue it on here. I'm not going to glue it on there first because I don't want black spray paint to get onto the edge of the cardboard because it kind of looks like wood. So I'll glue this on. Then after I paint this, I'll glue this on top of it. Okay, so here's our piece of sandpaper painted black. And now I'm using Russian earth. And we could also do a little bit of dry brushing. Let me glue it onto our rooftop first, and then we'll do some dry brushing to it. So I did some dry brushing on the top using a gray. It's called Gray Sky. Just a little bit around the edges. I did some weathering On the brick, I actually used medium rust pigment. It's kind of a reddish orange color, and I just took a small brush and brushed some of that on there. Then towards the bottom, I wanted to give it a dirty look, and I used Russian earth. And again, just brush that on there. Now to darken up the bottom and the top of the brick, I used Starship Filth. Now this is a shader from Ammo, and it's water based. So I just put a little bit of water in a container, put probably 2 drops in it, and then just brushed it on. Now after it was dried, I went in again with the Russian earth and brushed that on there. The green that I used on here is Hauser medium green, and then I did a very little bit. Well, to start with, I sponged that on. So I used a sponge and sponged it, and then after the green was dried, I lightly did some dry brushing over it with sea glass. Okay, now I want to do some signs, and I'm going to make all the signs on this metal. That way I can rust them, because I love rust. So the kit comes with a sheet of signs. I'm going to use the pottery one right here in the center. I think I'm going to have that go there, and then some of the ads will be down here on the brick. For the side, there is supposed to be a little pop-out structure there that has some windows in it. I'm not going to put that on mine. What I've done is I went in the computer and I found this great ad for a Cracker Jack. Now it was a little bit more of a square, so once I drug it onto my desktop, I opened it in Photoshop. I changed the DPI, or the resolution, to 300. I then shrunk it, resized it to the shape that I wanted, and I wanted it to be that long and at least the height of those 2 holes, so that all that gets covered. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, because I want these to be metal, I'm going to take some brown construction paper, and I will just show you quick. So again, this is just brown construction paper, and I'm using white Elmer's glue, trying to get it as even as possible. This is going to make it a little bit more stiff, give it a little bit of thickness. All right, I'll quick blow dry this, and then we can cut our signs out. All of our signs are cut out, so the next thing I'm going to do is take a Sharpie and just quick go over all the edges. Now we'll take our instructions again to use the back of it and put all of our signs on it. And next we're going to add rust to all these. Okay, I think I have them all. The first thing we're going to do is take our light rust. You could also use regular pastel chalks. I really, really like this color. It really is a natural rust color. Okay, so all we're going to do is streak it down. So I just put my brush in it, tap it off on the side. Now if you'd like to add a little variation, you can do medium rust. This is a little darker. I think I'll just go towards the ends of the signs with this. Okay, now we're going to take bittersweet chocolate. And we're going to take our sponge. First we want to dab off a bunch of the paint. I've got a sharp number 2 pencil. And we're going to poke holes in the corners. Now this is a pretty large sign, so it would probably... Let's do some more holes. Same with this one. What's nice is the graphite from the pencil makes a silver mark in it. Let me hold it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So you get those little silver holes. Looks like nails. Now we're going to put some rust streaks. And I'm using rust tracks. And you can see I just dipped my brush right on the end of it. So I'm just putting a dot sort of right under where the nails are. Then I get my brush wet. Well, here is the finished model. I guess it's not completely finished. I still have a couple more little things that can be done to it. I did forget there's a wall that goes in right there, and then a top that gets glued in there right underneath. I just forgot, got in a hurry, so I just have to do that. Then it's pretty much finished. This was a weekend project. I started this Saturday morning, and it's now Sunday evening. It went really quick, and I think a big reason for that is that I've been working on my large dioramas, which are 1/18 scale. So switching back to something like this, it just seems so small to me, and just seemed so easy compared to that large scale that I'm working in. I made the deck using wood from northeasternscalelumber.com. I still have a little bit of weathering to do on the back side. Not much because it won't really show that much. Okay, well, let's take this over to the layout and see what it looks like in place. Here it is in place on the layout. Sorry, I know my shadow's on it. So the road in front will end up being cobblestone. Then there's a thin alley that runs behind the buildings. That will probably end up being just a dirt alleyway with some gravel, possibly a brick. I may put brick in there. I just haven't decided yet. And then this road up here will be cobblestone. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.